Welcome back to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex and today we're taking a look at Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl on the Nintendo Switch. A game that's essentially Smash Bros but it's slapping in your favourite Nick stars, so is it worth your time and cash or should you simply stick to the already mentioned Smash? Well, hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here, join our growing family and let's get started. So we're starting with gameplay because there is no story, rather the occasional sentence from each character that is in keeping with their personalities, but they are rather statements than any sort of plot. Also, a heads up here, I suck at brawler games like this, I am no pro. If you're looking for that, this is definitely not going to be the review for you, and I'm just being honest. We'll start with the controls, and they are fundamentally sound. It's not shy of its Smash influences at all, and the controls, they are simplistic, with a light attack, strong attack, special attack, block, grab and throw. You can then combine these inputs with different directions for different attacks, and each character comes with their own move list and of course style. The idea though, and this goes for nearly all modes, knock them out of the map, Smash style, and whittle down the health by racking up their percentage at the bottom of the screen. For the battles then, there's a decent selection of stages with hazards and moving platforms, and yeah, decent enough visiting a fair few recognisable locations for any Nick fan. My only complaint on stages, there's a couple in here, it's easy to kind of find yourself stuck between an opponent and a wall, which they can and will exploit. The computer AI especially, as you dial it up, it does do a decent job here, but for sure leans into this exploit tactic as well. In battle though, honestly, the controls, they feel more than fine. It's an extremely quick game with its movement, and yeah, very few complaints from me in that regard as I took on the game with each of the title's current 20 roster cast. More characters then are promised down the line, however, as DLC to even expand this out further. Modes wise then, it's pretty slim honestly, and they are contained within menu options titled Battle, Arcade and Online. Arcade, it takes you through 7 stages, facing down your foes with your character of choice, with every second fight actually giving you the option of 2. You can also then change the difficulty, which is a nice touch, just for those that want to push themselves a little bit further. There's 5 options in total, from very easy through to very hard. Battle is next, and it's actually 3 options in this menu. You've got stock, timed and sports. The game has this menu issue which we will get to later, but it almost gives you zero explanation of what these modes are, rather it kind of tells you to jump into it and figure it out for yourself. Now it turns out there is an explanation, it's just extremely difficult to find. I'll translate here though. Stock is a standard fight where you choose a number of lives, timed adds a timer to the mix, and then sports, it throws a goal at each end of the map and you need to grab the ball and get it in. Sports is honestly dull, and also it seems to challenge the frame rate of the game quite a bit. I always got the odd stutter here and there through every gameplay mode, but for the most part it was solid. This mode, if you loaded it up with 4 fighters, it would pretty aggressively jump between 50 and 60 frames per second, and it was definitely noticeable in the controls. All of these battle modes then as well of course can be played in either single player or up to 4 players locally. The final menu option then is of course online. This has competitive and quick match as well. Both no issues currently getting into fights, but of course we are right around release at this point. And looking at the server options, there wasn't a ton of players out there though, and if you're thinking about maybe picking this up a little further down the line, I would suggest if online is what you're looking for, maybe do a little digging and see how active the community still is. Then on this screen as well, there's a ranking and profile icon that can be changed in the top right of the screen. The only thing this seems to do, it shows you your opponent's rating when you're going face to face, but that really is about it. There's no online leaderboards or anything else. Now here's the issue though, the game's menus, systems, it's all just missing the mark, and for such few options in the game, I'm surprised at how confusing it all is. First off, booting up the game, I wanted to see the control scheme naturally, checked the options, found a move list in there for each character, but that had these icons. These do not translate to your controller. I couldn't find any explanation, so I jumped into arcade mode because there's no tutorial mode on the main menu. Now I didn't discover this immediately, but it actually turns out on the character select screen, if you tap X for info on each fighter, it's hidden away in here for some unknown reason. I also thought maybe in battle I'll pause the game, surely the move list is available there and I can start to figure it out. It's not. The game wants you to navigate to that extras menu every single time you need to back up the game so you can see it. It gets better from here as well. There is a tutorial mode it turns out, but they put it under the battle menu along with a handy walk through the controls in text form. Maybe it's just me, but with a fighter I normally start tutorial, go arcade mode, and then I'll kind of advance to free play. Why they would hide it here I do not know, and surely a tutorial earns its spot on the front page. Next up then, characters, good roster. Couldn't tell you who a good 50% of them were though, and when you're selecting a character from the menu it just says player 1. Small thing, but I feel like the name of the character and the show would have been beneficial before you go selecting them. You have to select the character though before even this most basic of things pops up. The explanation of the modes as well, which took me a while to find. Remember I said that there's a handy text breakdown of the controls? Well, that is actually 29 pages long, and it's at the very end of it. Literally the idea to check there, it popped into my head as I was getting all this information down for today's review. Even the training mode, there's no command prompts or anything else on screen, rather it's a simple fight where you can set health, CPU level, damage reset and hitboxes, and you need to do this once you're into the battle. It doesn't even start with this option, it starts the fight, the enemy runs at you and there you need to pause it and make your changes. The worst thing though, the load screens, particularly in arcade mode on the Switch, they are just like holy load screens for every battle, and I timed it, the wait was over a minute for a fight that often lasted once in maybe around 90 seconds. At first I was excited to see these characters duke it out, but as time went on and I, faced arcade mode a couple of times for this video, I started to dread the load screen, and the fact it was taking up often near 50% of my time is just crazy. Fortunately though, I will say online and battle modes, they do seem to move a little bit quicker. It must be that single line of text accompanying each character. It's seriously weird as packages go though. As I said, look, the fighting is decent enough, but the package and the menus, it's kind of horrible to be honest, with little to no thought gone into its structure, making me feel lost and confused a good majority of the time. The only other things to it really, a gallery to look at, unlocked pictures. This seems to be from beating arcade mode with each character, not that the game gives you any explanation of this of course, of what you need to do, and then also a jukebox because maybe you fancy listening to this music, which we will get to here shortly. You can also then finally save replays. So graphically it's decent actually. I really like the majority of the cast and their models. There's a nice selection, the animations, they are in keeping with each of these stars, and the stages again taken from the shows, so should keep fans happy. The menus are nice looking too, even if functionally they are a mess. Problems, not a huge amount honestly. Visually I saw my favourites and they acted as I hoped. There's something entertaining seeing these characters brawl, and yeah, outside of some rough edges, pixelation, no real complaints. Audio then finally, and it is a letdown. There's no music from the shows that I recognised at all, just generic poppy sort of electronic, which is bad, so I have no idea why they included the jukebox. That would make total sense with licensed music, but not with this. Then also no voice acting, which for me is kind of the soul of these characters, so it loses a lot of the heart of what these characters are. So overall, Nick All-Star Brawl is a really interesting game. At its core, the fighting is decent and the characters on the stages, when it gets going or you're playing with friends, you will have fun. But then the issues, poor menu layouts, modes hidden away, small pieces like character names missing when you're selecting your character, over 1 minute load screens for arcade mode, no voice acting at all, no music from the shows. My other issue then, we're talking about a game priced at $40 on the Switch, and it leaves me with this statement: if you don't own Smash, buy that instead. An extra $20, you will easily get your money's worth. If you do own Smash, why would you even consider an inferior game like this outside of maybe reminding yourself why you like Smash as much as, well, everyone does? I think its biggest issue is it tries nothing new at all. If you look at something like Team Sonic Racing, that can live alongside Mario Kart because it does just enough to separate itself. This does absolutely nothing, and the whole time in my head I had one thought, and that was, I wish I was playing Smash. On any other console, I'd probably be scoring this higher honestly, because they do not have Smash. But with that in mind, the combat works, the stages are decent, and the character animations and style, they are good. Everything else, it's just undercooked, and it's a below average 4 out of 10 from me. Again as well, look, holy load screens, they are so long, sometimes the images, they must have kind of ran out because the screen just turned black on me, and also the music started to bug out. Will you be adding this one to the library then? Hopefully this video helped you out, and with that, a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here, join our growing family, and do not think I hate Nickelodeon, because all of my reviews this far have been pretty critical. I'm just not a fan of the way they are wasting the license. Thanks everyone.